Well, considering it's April 17th, I don't think I have to pivot that quickly. When is free agency? July 1st? Yeah, I got some time.
The curtain has fallen, the lights are on, and the show is over. After months of speculation and suspense, marked by heated contract disputes and persistent doubts about his future role.
What do you want me to bench me?
No.
Klay Thompson has finally bid farewell to the Golden State Warriors. But before we get into it, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching one of the best new basketball channels on YouTube, Swish Archives. The writing was on the wall for Thompson's time in Golden State. Over the past season, cracks began to show in the relationship between the five-time All-Star and the Warriors management. Contract negotiations took a dramatic turn for the worse, and Thompson found himself relegated to a role off the bench, a decision he didn't take fondly. With the Warriors failing to make the 2024 NBA playoffs, the reality was stark. This was likely the end of Thompson's storied 13-year run in the Bay Area. It's never easy to tie a bow on a legendary era. Some say a dynasty concludes with its last championship. Others point to the more obvious whimper of goodbye, like the Warriors' devastating 24-point defeat in their play-in game. But for many, the true end of Golden State's extended reign is marked by Klay Thompson's departure. This exit? It hits different. It's not just about the stats or the final game. It's about a dynasty's heart and soul stepping away from the only home he's known. Before we get into it, please like and subscribe to the channel for more NBA updates and insights. Let's not forget what Thompson means to Dub Nation. Selected 11th overall in the 2011 NBA Draft, Klay has been a key part of Golden State's dynasty, contributing to championships in 2015, 2017, 2018, and 2022, and NBA Finals appearances in 2016 and 2019. He's likely a first-ballot Hall of Famer and will undoubtedly have a statue outside the Chase Center one day. How could something this good go wrong so quickly? Well, we'll get into that in a moment. But in order to understand the severity of what happened, you have to understand how much of a bond Thompson had with the Warriors. On the court, Thompson perfectly complemented his splash brother, Steph Curry. As one of the greatest shooters in NBA history, Thompson gave NBA fans a light show on a nightly basis, posting some of the craziest, eye-popping performances this game's ever seen. A pioneer of modern three-point shooting, Klay often surpassed even Curry's hot streaks, achieving feats never experienced before, both in regular season and playoff games. Beyond his scoring, Thompson's defensive prowess saw him frequently guarding the opposition's top perimeter players. Thompson is 6th on the NBA's all-time three-pointers made list with 2,481. Behind Reggie Miller at 2,560, Damian Lillard at 2,607, James Harden at 2,940, Ray Allen at 2,973, and now former teammate Stephen Curry, who leads with 3,747 career makes from beyond the arc. A two-time All-NBA third-team selection, Thompson has averaged 19.6 points, 3.5 rebounds, and 2.3 assists in 793 games for the franchise, shooting 41.3% from three-point range. Thompson came to the rescue of his team so many times in Game 6 of a playoff series that he earned the nickname Game 6 Klay. Perhaps the most memorable Game 6 of his historic career occurred in the 2019 NBA Finals when the Warriors beat the Toronto Raptors 3-2. In that game, Thompson scored 30 points on just 8 of 12 shots, but was helped off the court and down the tunnel toward the locker room after he got injured with 2:22 remaining in the third quarter. Surprisingly, Thompson hobbled back on the court and shot his 2 free throws before leaving for good 3 seconds later. Thompson also holds the record for most points scored in a single quarter, with an incredible 37 points in the third quarter against the Sacramento Kings in 2015. That night, Klay kept firing away from increasingly bizarre spots and angles. Oh, and by the way, he didn't miss a single shot, going 13 for 13 overall, including 9 three-pointers and finishing the game with 52 points. At that time, Warriors coach Steve Kerr said, "I was one of the luckiest NBA players ever to play with Michael Jordan, Tim Duncan, David Robinson, and some of the greatest players ever. As many spectacular things as Michael did, which he did nightly, I never saw him do that." But it wasn't just his sharpshooting that made Klay a fan favorite. It was his selfless nature, commitment to the team, and his ability to to thrive in any role without any huge ego. While some players demand the spotlight, Klay was content to shine within the framework of the team. He embraced his role as a splash brother alongside Steph Curry, forming one of the greatest shooting duos in NBA history. Off the court, Klay's friendly personality endeared him to fans and teammates alike. His dry sense of humor and laid-back demeanor made him relatable to a wider audience. Whether he was at local charity events, interacting with fans on social media, or simply enjoying boat excursions around the bay with his beloved bulldog Rocco, Klay's genuine character made him a beloved figure among basketball enthusiasts. The story took a dramatic shift this season. We were certainly at the point in Klay's career where nostalgia reigns supreme. As much as Thompson would deny it, he was no longer the player he once was. Struggling with consistency, he often shot his way out of slumps, sometimes to the detriment of the Warriors' offense. His defensive skills, once a hallmark of his game, had also diminished as injuries and age took their toll. Fast forward to July, Thompson's free agency departure left many in the league wondering, why? How did it get to a point where a 13-year legacy player willingly walked away from a dynasty brand he helped build and an area that adored him so much? In fact, it's been a layered 5-year path to this divorce. Last season, the cracks began to show, with tensions deepening over time. Anybody who knows Thompson will tell you that his competitive fire burns as deeply and as ferociously as anyone who's ever played. It's a killer instinct that has him bound for the Hall of Fame. The franchise won titles and made countless millions, in part because of that instinct the past decade. But dense character traits can be attached to flaws in adverse moments. Thompson was never going to smoothly handle a reduced role. During an early December game in Phoenix, Thompson was pulled from the closing lineup for the first time in his career. In a fit of rage, Klay racked up a cup rack behind the bench to the ground and needed to be pulled back by Curry as he lit up the coaching staff in the huddle. Later, on a February night against the Nets, Steve Kerr opted to close with little-known Santos over Thompson because Santos made a few fourth-quarter hustle plays and Thompson had been slumping. The Warriors won, and Santos had a feel-good moment, but the post-game story shifted to Thompson, who delivered an honest, viral locker room interview about his difficulty grasping this transitional moment of his career, seeming to fight tears while also emphasizing how proud he was of Santos. Klay's body language on the bench spoke volumes. His frustration erupted as he kicked a chair, visibly expressing anger towards Warrior staff, and even turning his back on his closest teammate, Steph Curry. A few days later, Thompson sat on the bench fuming, staring out at the court as his two legendary teammates, Curry and Green, were out there battling to preserve the dying days of a dynasty with a rookie, Brandon Pajinski, in his spot. When Kerr called on Thompson for a crucial play, he didn't expect Klay to make one of the most bizarre decisions you could ever see. The Warriors were only down 3 with 39.1 seconds left. Plenty of time to play out the possession. However, he committed an intentional foul after an inbound, sending Kerr and the Warriors bench into a collective spasm of frustration that had been replayed quite publicly over the minutes and hours that followed. It was clear Thompson's mind was not in the game. The Warriors lost again, and a heavy blame game was leaning Thompson's way more than ever before. This was an embarrassing blunder for him at one of the low points of his season. The situation worsened the next morning when Kerr, after a back-to-back set of games, announced that Thompson would be moving to the bench for the first time since 2012. For over a decade, 727 consecutive games, when healthy, Klay had held the Warriors' starting shooting guard position. It was more than a role. It was part of his identity. Now, that spot was being handed to Pajinski, who was just 8 years old when Thompson made his first three-pointer for the team. The news didn't land softly. Thompson reportedly lashed out at Kerr and his staff. His impending free agency loomed in the background all season. Kerr made some sensitive coaching decisions that played a part in nudging Thompson out the door. In one of his interviews, he mentioned the desire to bring Thompson off the bench again and the need to play him less in general. a soundbite that wouldn't have helped in any theoretical negotiations with a player most proud of his durability and availability at this advanced stage of his career. The Warriors front office, led by controlling owner Joe Lacob, took a cold, mostly uncommunicative approach to Thompson's next contract in his 3 summers of extension eligibility, despite being warned that a drawn-out negotiation into July during his free agent cycle wouldn't be met with an agreement. Klay had felt disrespected that the team didn't offer him an extension the summer after they won the title. That feeling of not being valued only deepened the following summer when Golden State was only willing to put a 2-year, $48 million offer on Thompson's desk, instead of matching the 4-year, $100 million pact Draymond Green secured as a free agent. That offer to Klay came after Andrew Wiggins signed a 4-year contract worth $109 million. It was even far smaller than the 4-year, $128 million contract Jordan Poole got when the Warriors thought he might be Thompson's long-term replacement at shooting guard. Throughout the season, the response from the Warriors was that Thompson and his camp needed to wait while the franchise tried to improve the team in other deals. Most notably, sources said, there were efforts to trade for Los Angeles Lakers star LeBron James, Brooklyn Nets swingman Mikal Bridges, LA Clipper star Paul George, and Utah Jazz forward Lauri McKinnon. The Warriors didn't know how much or how long they could re-sign Thompson for until they had answers on that other business. It was obvious Thompson was not the priority. Thompson did little to hide his feelings, and his actions increasingly became difficult to manage. He got into unprecedented fights, showed frustration whenever he was taken out of the game, and often ignored his teammates on the bench. There was an apparent decline in his performance during the 2023-24 season. He averaged just 17.9 points per game, marking his lowest single-season average since 2012-13. His stats also included 3.3 rebounds and 2.3 assists per game, with a shooting percentage of 43.2 from the field and 38.7 from beyond the arc. He became slower defensively and saw a younger crop of Warriors, Brandon Prajensky and Moses Moody, begin to bump into his current and future playing time. Rather than addressing these issues and working to improve, Klay chose to respond to critics by defensively boasting about his past achievements in every interview, which only highlighted his current struggles. Not only would his performance never return to its pre-injury level, but his image within the NBA community also began to go downhill.
Klay Thompson is still special. He's just not looking as special as we know him to be. So he can have an attitude. It's about time to look in the mirror and for you to say, I'm not what I'm supposed to be.
The real backstory of Klay's split from the Warriors dates back to 2019. Thompson, at the absolute peak of his prime, tore his ACL on a Game 6 NBA Finals dunk attempt during one of the signature nights of his career. He had 30 points after he hobbled up to the free throw and buried both. Had he not fallen, some believe that series was going back to a Game 7 in Toronto, and Thompson was destined for some sensational seasons through his mid-prime. The Warriors showed their commitment by signing him to a 5-year, $190 million maximum contract that summer, fully aware he'd be sidelined for the next season. However, Thompson's deal lacked a player option at the end of it, a detail that has become significant now, given he could have been a free agent alongside Draymond Green the previous summer. Timing played a crucial role. If Thompson had been as close to free agency as Jordan Poole, Andrew Wiggins, or Green, he might still be with the Warriors. Klay's final game with the Warriors was a disappointing 0 of 10 shooting performance in an elimination play-in loss to Sacramento in April. That painful night, which marked the team's struggles and failures, further fueled his strong desire to move on and seek success elsewhere. The decision became easier when the Warriors demoted him in their summer priorities. They paid a record luxury tax bill last season and still missed the playoffs, making the cost not worth the benefit. When asked about Thompson's future, Green mentioned that the Warriors' leadership always takes care of its own.
They paid him $160 million. So I have no reason to think that our ownership group aren't going to take care of us the way we've taken care of this organization.
At a tense exit interview a few days later, Thompson, not directly at Draymond's comment, but the prevailing theory that he owes the Warriors anything for the previous contract, bit back.
Well, 2019. Well, could you imagine if they didn't pay me after I got hurt? That would have been really bad. Like, went to 5 straight finals? You blew your knee out? Yeah. No, I mean, that was very nice of them.
The Warriors let Thompson rehab his ACL mostly away from the facility during the 2019-2020 season. That's when one of the most consequential days in this run struck. On the same night the Warriors drafted James Wiseman second, Klay ruptured his Achilles tendon playing pickup basketball in LA, away from the team's care. Thompson ended up missing 2.5 seasons of his mid-prime, losing an intangible amount of his burst in the process. Determined to reclaim his elite form, Klay worked tirelessly and became an essential part of the Warriors' 2022 championship victory. He then played 69 and 77 games and made 301 and 268 threes the next 2 seasons, which were his 12th and 13th season in the league. This solid performance reinforced his belief that he still had plenty of high-level basketball left in him and deserved to be valued accordingly. However, the Warriors had a different viewpoint. They weighed Klay's value against his recent injury history and future potential as a 34-year-old, leading to a significant disagreement. As the NBA offseason progressed, a heated battle ensued to secure Thompson's services. Despite the Los Angeles Lakers, led by LeBron James, making a strong bid to acquire him, Klay chose to join the Dallas Mavericks. The Western Conference champions offered him a 3-year, $50 million contract, which Klay eagerly accepted. The deal had the Mavs part way with 4th-year swingman Josh Green and a second-round pick in what became the first 6-team trade in NBA history. Besides the Mavs and Warriors, the trade also involved Charlotte, Denver, Minnesota, and Philadelphia. The Hornets will receive guard Reggie Jackson, Josh Green, a 2029 second-round pick, and a 2030 second-round pick, while the Nuggets will obtain some cash. The Timberwolves will obtain a 2025 second-round pick, a 2031 second-round pick swaps, and cash. Elsewhere, the Warriors will receive forward Kyle Anderson and guard Buddy Hield, and the Sixers will acquire a 2031 second-round pick. Thompson's decision to join the Dallas Mavericks over the Lakers was surprising for many. Why not team up with LeBron and the Lakers, who were willing to offer him a 4-year, $80 million contract? Well, a mix of financial, competitive, and personal considerations went behind his decision. But one thing is clear. Klay sees an opportunity to carve out a new path with the Mavericks. Despite the Lakers' attractive offer, Thompson had significant reservations about the media spotlight and pressure in Los Angeles, which he felt would echo the stressful end to his tenure with the Golden State Warriors. The Mavericks, in contrast, provided a more laid-back environment. Financially, Texas's lack of state income tax made the Mavericks offer more appealing compared to California's high tax rate, which would have significantly reduced the real value of his salary from the Lakers. Thompson was impressed by the Mavericks' NBA Finals run and envisioned himself fitting well, creating space for Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving on the offensive end while bringing his championship credentials to their rising program. The team needed a consistent third scorer, especially since they made just 18% of their open three-pointers in the finals game against the Celtics. Thompson saw himself filling that role, providing a more reliable scoring punch than Tim Hardaway Jr. However, the more significant thing Dallas offered was a chance for Klay to change the narrative around himself and feel genuinely appreciated again. Mavericks president of basketball operations and general manager Nico Harrison made it clear that Thompson was their top off-season priority, respecting his 4 rings and valuing his championship experience. According to Lakers insider Anthony F. Irwin, Thompson declined the offer from Los Angeles because the Lakers wouldn't guarantee him a starting spot in their roster. Lakers didn't want to promise a starting gig to Klay Thompson, Irwin posted on X. Perhaps the uncertainty surrounding their aging roster, led by a nearly 40-year-old LeBron James, made the Mavs seem like a safer bet to him. As Klay Thompson embarks on his new chapter with the Mavericks, the Golden State Warriors face an uncertain future, missing one of their foundational stars. With only Curry and Green remaining from the legendary trio, the management is expected to be active in the trade market, seeking an all-star caliber player to fill the void and benefit from the couple of seasons left for Curry. The next big question remains: will the Warriors manage to stay relevant without Klay's sharpshooting and defensive prowess? And can Klay find success and another championship in Dallas? Only time will tell. Until then, just imagine the fans' reaction when Klay steps onto the court at Chase Center in a different jersey. It's bound to be a moment filled with mixed emotions. If you enjoyed this video, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Check out our previous videos. They're definitely worth it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.